Hello, you're listening to Hugo Talks. So today we have this article in the Daily Fail which kind of irritates me. It features two more sage science boffins saying things like, the lockdown, yeah, it could go on for quite a while. Can't really know for sure. It might last to Christmas, maybe longer. But some of the restrictions should stay. I think masks will stay forever, as can be seen in this article here, entitled Face Masks Forever. Now, every time I see one of these boffins, I've been checking up where they work, and I nearly always find a link from the place they work to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I'm beginning to sound like a broken record here. If you saw my video earlier today, I was talking about the scientist who appears on Australian TV, and lo and behold, the place he works is also funded by the Gates Foundation. And so we have here sage expert Professor John Edmonds warning that most curbs on daily life, which could include the rule of six, etc., are likely to be enforced until the end of this year, while less restrictive curbs like face mask wearing on public transport and indoors could possibly be in place forever. This is what he says: face masks forever. Forever is a very long time. So let's take a look into Professor John Edmonds. What do you reckon? Will we find a connection to Bill Gates? It says here, John Edmonds, who has an OBE, is a professor in the Faculty of Epidemiology and Population Health at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. So let's see. Oh, look! Here we have London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, which has received 40 million from Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Once again, all of these boffins that want lockdown and mask wearing to go on forever seem to work at organisations that have received massive funding from the Gates Foundation. This guy, he also went to Imperial College, which has received 100 million and more from the Gates Foundation, and where Neil Ferguson did all of his modelling using Bill Gates' Microsoft software. And then also in this article we have Sir Jeremy Farrar, who wants levels 75 times lower than what they are now before even easing any restrictions. He said it was not sensible for ministers to set a date for lifting any restrictions, warning they must be led by the evidence in order to avoid a third major spike in infections, which basically sounds like he doesn't want the lockdowns and restrictions to end anytime soon. So where does Sir Jeremy Farrar, where does he work? Well, he is the director of the Wellcome Trust. Now, is there a connection to the Gates Foundation? Oh, look at that now. They got 500,000 from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. You see, I told you. I'm going to sound like a broken record over and over again. So there you go. These people, these science boffins, who love to predict doom and gloom perpetually, who only focus on the negatives so they can continue to keep restrictions, and always seem to come from companies that have received considerable money from the Gates Foundation. And they suggest you to wear masks forever now. These boffins who are supposedly there to keep us all healthy and well, these boffins, they never seem to question the psychological side effects of wearing masks. In fact, you never hear anybody really talk about the psychological side effects of making societies wear masks, especially children. They never mention this because it does cause psychological side effects. It has to, especially if it's done over a long period of time. Wearing masks means you can't see how other people are feeling. You can't tell if they are happy or sad when they're speaking to you. It makes it much more difficult to judge communication with people when you can't see a person's expression when they are talking, and you can't tell if they're happy or sad or angry. Psychologists say that your mind automatically predicts that the person is probably displaying negative emotions when you can't see the expression on their face. So far, after 9-10 months of these masks, people now, they don't tend to look at each other as much. They avoid eye contact. Social referencing, I believe it's called, It doesn't exist anymore. This leads to people feeling detached, even when they are out in the supermarket doing their food shop. It removes your personality. It removes a person's individuality. Why? Because the ability to display emotions, to show how you feel, is now not needed because your expressions on your face, which are individual to you and make up your personality, are hidden behind a mask. If emotions, therefore, are not needed, then eventually we will become, in the long term, we'll become emotionless. So long-term wearing of masks could have a significant, well, it will have a significant psychological impact on society and the way we are and the way we interact. It will eventually turn us into emotionless people without any individuality, who feel completely detached from each other and who can't communicate with each other. And yet this Boffin from Sage, who works in a company that has received 40 million from Bill Gates, he just thinks, why not just wear masks forever? Why not? Yeah, just do it. Never ever questions the psychological impact of such a thing. He's not too bothered about that. Maybe they like the idea of us all turning into emotionless beings with no individuality, who feel totally cut off from one another. Maybe that's what they want. Maybe people are going to be more easily controlled if they're being psychologically primed to be that way. Many of these scientists do seem like they lack emotional intelligence. They all seem a little bit cold. Put it this way. Many of them don't look like they would be much fun to hang around with at a party. Maybe many of them have spent their lives studying, living reclusive, boffin-like lives. Maybe they want everyone to be like them. I don't know. Looking at the comments on this article, I don't see many people in support of this idea, and it's not surprising, really. Here's a comment. Why are these unelected sage people running our country? Science with no humanity or social concern. Why has it just become accepted that the cabinet can pass dictated laws without consulting parliament? Even restrictions on things that are not to do with the pandemic, like banning supermarket 2-for-1 deals from next year. Why is that they are saying restrictions will remain even when most people are vaccinated? Because a very small minority might still catch COVID mildly? That is not an excuse to keep the country under house arrest and prosecuting us for walking with a coffee or smoking alone in a car, breaking lockdown rules. This authoritarian government needs to be removed from power. They have too much and will continue to legislate our daily lives until they are stopped. Yeah, that about sums it up. As always, thanks for listening. Come and subscribe to hugotalks.com. It's the only website I have control over, especially over the subscribers. So, for instance, if YouTube were to terminate this channel, boom, all subscribers would be lost. And the same with other platforms. So if you are going to subscribe, make sure it's at hugotalks.com, as that's the one where I get to keep my subscribers no matter what. Take care, and I'll see you tomorrow.